Saturn, which rules in darkness, who taught the mankind of all what is prohibited. It's he who taught the black magic Kabbalah to his followers. It's he who still worship, even in this era. His followers pledge their souls and sacrifice of even human beings to excel in his path. This all combined give the Zionist dominion over world resources, either any big corporation or any big business. Owl is the sign of Illuminati. That's why owl is considered the most wise bird in the world, else it has not invented any formula. Owl is ever associated with black magic. That's why their special hand sign is of owl. In old Egyptian and Babylonian myth, cult, owl was worshipped.
There's millionaires, billionaires, the people that control the world, control the central banks, that build nuclear weapons. I mean, this is their summer playground.
Straight from the San Francisco airport, I headed to Monte Rio, a city with beautiful redwoods and picturesque coastlines. The perfect getaway for the world's rich and powerful. And in fact, every year, CEOs, media moguls, and high-level politicians flock here to the Bohemian Grove's secluded campout.
They're making business deals there, they're talking policy, so there are a lot of conversations.
A claim which members deny.
Their motto here is that weaving spiders come not here, which they claim means there's no business discussions, it's just a vacation for the wealthy men.
Author and activist Mark Dice has a rare Grove yearbook issued every decade, showing everything from men in drag to high-profile politicians giving speeches. The book shows George W. Bush and his father giving lakeside talks, along with Presidents Jimmy Carter and Richard Nixon. Others who have attended are David Brooks of the New York Times, along with CEOs from CNN and Fox, Jimmy Buffett, David Rockefeller, and Henry Kissinger. Mark also has an official 2005 membership list of Grove attendees.
Your typical warmongers, George Bush Sr., Colin Powell, Richard Pearl, and your typical Republican establishment inside.
All the way to today, Hitler, of course, was a Bohemian. I think it's more Babylon mystery religion. All of the elements are there. Of course, even the owl is a symbol of ancient mystery Babylon. The owl was worshipped by the ancient Egyptians and by the Babylonians. And it's interesting to me that many of the members of the Bohemian Grove have in their homes, as I understand it, small figurines of owls. And I believe they actually worship those owls as a symbol of the deity, the great goddess of Babylon. And of course, here again, we have the counterfeit of Christ's sacrifice on the cross. I think all of those things, there had to be, in my belief, an occultist, a deep occultist, who designed each of the elements of this ceremony. It wasn't just a bunch of guys sit together at a bar and said, hey, let's have a good time, the cremation of care, and why don't we do this or that. I believe it was purposely designed, each element in its turn, for what they did. No doubt about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching Dark Secrets inside Bohemian Grove. The facts we've shown in this film are absolutely documented. I would only hope that the people of the world realize the organized evil we're dealing with at almost every level. Republican, Democrat, you name it. They're all working on the same team. Ladies and gentlemen, it's called world government, the New World Order, dehumanization. It's not a joke, it's deadly serious. Unfortunately, they've been breeding societies to think everything's a joke. I'm here to tell you truth is stranger than fiction.
They still offer human sacrifices, literally or figuratively.
Now, even more shocking is the figure of a human body burning in the flames. In fact, I've shown it to people that are experts in anatomy, to actual doctors, and they say that the anatomical size is that of a baby or small child. Notice how large the cranium is in comparison to the torso, that is the ribs. Understand, ladies and gentlemen, this is from the program itself. given out to the establishment lackeys witnessing these sinister activities. Remember, in Babylon and Tyre, they would throw their children into fiery pits. Look at the size of the hands compared to the rest of the body. Only children show these anatomical details. Now, of course, it's been airbrushed in, but it shows the psychology of those conducting these criminal activities. Now, this is the only skull we actually caught on tape. We've blown it up for you over one of the major meeting houses. Of course, it's not a real skull. It was extremely oversized up on the signage. The point we're trying to make here is the entire compound was literally infested with symbols of death, skulls, owls, you name it. At long last, here it is, the cremation of care unveiled. As we sat there in the darkness, not knowing what we were about to see in the gathering crowd, suddenly, across the small lake, we saw a carriage with men in black and brown cloaks, robes, in front and in back, bearing a bound body. Now, we're about to show you the raw footage. You can see the torches coming out of the woods on the other side of the lake. We're going to show you the whole ceremony without video enhancement. Later, we're going to blow it up for you. Remember, it was a hidden camera and at somewhat of an angle.
Illuminati worship Owl, they worship Saturn, they seek guidance from Saturn. Aleister Crowley, the most wicked person in the century, was Illuminati and the father of Barbara Bush. He spent his life in drinking, prostitution, practicing black magic, sacrificing for Saturn, talking with demons. He wrote dirty poetry and books on black magic. Indeed, he used to practice Kabbalah. After Crowley, Anton LaVey became the leading satanic follower. He constructed the Church of Satan and wrote the Satanic Bible.
Formulated and organized into a productive social force that takes or accepts the premise that man is not a creature to be redeemed, but one who must recognize within himself his own potential, his own liabilities, and deal with them accordingly. We feel, as Nietzsche felt when he obviously wrote Also sprach Zarathustra. The opinion is that man can no longer fall back on established religion as a sort of identity, a collective identity. And occultism is a sort of do-it-yourself God kit, in whatever form it takes, oriented towards personal power. As a result of this, those who could be accepted collectively simply by being Christians at one time, for example, now find that with automation, with advances in technology, that their roles as human beings are lessened a great deal, are much less viable than ever before. So as a result of this, they have set themselves up in sort of a minor godhead role, or god role, or goddess role, in a specious, or rather illogical at times, form of importance, or sense of importance. So I honestly feel occultism gives many people a chance to be big fish in little ponds. That man must learn, of course, his animal nature by studying the nature of the beasts, and from the children, this childlike sense of wonder, and to be able to relate to these things within him, and the animal within him, in order to develop into the higher man, the man who is ultimately going to succeed or to survive on this planet.
In your book, The Satanic Bible, you say, hate your enemies with a whole heart, and if a man smites you on one cheek, smash him on the other.
Yes.
Do you believe in this?
Yes, very much so. I think everyone does, except they cloak it in forms of false altruism or false morality. They feel that there's so much repressed aggression and repressed hostility that is never allowed to manifest itself because of teachings such as turn the other cheek, that it has made man an intrinsically vicious creature because he's bottled up all of these feelings, or he channels them into what would appear to be innocuous directions that are actually much more harmful to those who are around him.
Don't you think, or like some of your critics say, that Satanism is an excuse for sexual and orgiastic excesses of some of the people who like to look after the animal instinct?
Yes, I fully agree that it is an excuse, but then I also agree that Christianity has been an excuse for many too, because there are many sects of Christianity that believe that in order to attain a spiritual quality or some sort of communion with God, one must be purged of any carnal desires, and the only way to rid oneself of carnal desires is to release them fully. And of course the Klishti in Russia believe this, that there's this Twinkling, this little flame that's inside of everyone.